Hello, Gaudi class. For the last couple of lessons in maths, we've been looking at pictograms. We looked at how important the key was so that we knew whether we were counting in ones or counting in twos. Today, we're going to be using that to help us answer questions about pictograms. We call that interpreting the data, being able to look at it and answer the questions. So here's a pictogram. How many books does Nancy have? Now, before we can count how many books, we need to find out what we're actually counting in. So if we go over to the key, we can see that each picture is one book. So we're just counting in ones. So we need to find Nancy. That's Nancy. And we're just going to count how many books she's got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that was a nice, easy one to start with. How many books does Natasha have? So again, we're checking, it's the same key, it's just one. Let's find Natasha, and we're counting in ones. So how many books does Natasha have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. She has 10. Okay. How many more books does Nathan have than Amanda? We're still counting in ones. So there are two ways to do this. We can find Amanda and we can count how many she's got. So she's got 3. And then we can find Nathan and count how many he's got. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we can find the difference. We can take the smaller number away from the bigger number. So 4, take away 3, will leave us with 1. The other thing we can do is we can look at the pictogram and we can see that Amanda's are less. She's got fewer books than Nathan has. So if we draw a line at the end of Amanda's down to Nathan's, we can see that Nathan has got 1 more book after the line. So that helps us to know that he's got 1 more. So either of those are fine. If you've got a ruler, if you had this down on a piece of paper in front of you and you used a ruler, it's very nice because you just put the ruler alongside the end of the smaller one and then you count after. It's quite a nice way to do it. Who has the most books? That's a nice easy one. We're looking for the longest line, so we can see that's Natasha. And who has the fewest books? So now we're looking for the shortest line. And we can see, we have to kind of look between Amanda and Nathan, but we know from the last one that Amanda has fewer. So we're just going to put Amanda. Amanda has the fewest books. Okay, so your turn first. How many dogs were seen on Wednesday? And I hope you didn't say 3, because if you did, it means you didn't look very carefully at the key. So the key tells you that we are counting in twos. So counting in twos, let's get to Wednesday. 2, 4, 6. I hope that's what you shouted at the screen. How many dogs were seen on Monday? Oh, it's changed. We've got half dogs now. How many dogs were seen on Monday? So we are still counting in twos. We want Monday. So here we've got 2, and here we've only got half a dog. So that must mean 1 extra. So 2, 3. That's the trouble with counting in twos, is we've got to make sure we do those half ones. On which day were the most dogs seen? Well, that's a nice one. We're looking for the one that goes out the furthest, and we can see that that's Friday. How many more dogs were seen on Wednesday than Tuesday? So we're going to do it both ways. We could count the number of dogs on Wednesday and Tuesday. So we're counting in twos. So this is just 2. And this is 2, 4, and an extra 1, 5. So we could do 5 take away 2, which will give us 3. The other one we can do is we can look at them both, and this one's easier because they're next to each other. We can draw a line where the shortest one stops, and then we're just counting what's after the line. So we have 2 and the extra 1, so that'd be 3. So the answer is the same, whichever method you choose. It depends on whether or not you want to do it by counting or by drawing. Either way is absolutely fine. It gives you the same answer. Okay, let's have a look at this one. Who scored the fewest goals? And the great thing about the most and the fewest questions is you don't have to look at the key for that one, because that one's just which line goes out the longest, or in this case, which line's the shortest. So we can see just by looking at it that Jack scored the fewest goals. Jack has the smallest line. Who scored the most goals? So who is it? And we can see it's just the longest line, and it's Rosie. How many more goals did Whitney score than Alex? So we have Whitney and we have Alex. Now we need to count them. So we're checking the key and we're counting in twos. So we have 2, 4, 6, and one more is 7. And here we have 2, one more is 3. So 7 take away 3 is going to leave us with 4. Or we can do it using our line. And this one is slightly more complicated because we're cutting this ball in half. Oops, my pencil slipped. And now we've got 2 here, but we've got this half one here, so that's 3, and this one half one here, that's 4. So we haven't got a nice full ball at the end of it. So we've got a half and another half. So we've got 2, 3, 4. Okay. Oh, this one's a mean one. So there were 2 games played, game 1 and game 2. What do I think is mean? The keys are different. So this one here, the key is 1 face for 1 point, and the key here is 1 face for 2 points. We're going to have to be really careful. How many points did Ron score or overall? So see if you can work that out. Pause the video if you need more time. Add up his scores from both games. We'll have a look together. So here he scored 1, 2, 3, 4. And here we're counting in 2, so he scored 2, 3. So altogether he scored 7. Who scored the most points overall? So we know Ron scored 7, so let's see how many Amir scored. So Amir scored 1, 2, 3 here, and 2, 4, 6, 8 here. So 3 add 8, so I'm going to put 8 in my head, 9, 10, 11. So we know that Amir scored more points overall. In which game were most points scored? So see if you can work out the total for game 1 and the total for game 2, and then which one of those is higher. So pause the video while you do that, and then we'll go through the answer together. So let's have a look at game 1. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm just going to put 7. And here we are counting in 2s. We've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and one more is 11. So we've got this one is our higher number. So there were more points in game 2. Your turn. Okay. Challenge 1. This pictogram shows what some of the teachers had for school lunch. So we've got some teachers had fish, some teachers had chicken, some teachers had spaghetti, and some teachers had salad. So which lunch did most teachers have? So you're looking for the one with the longest line. Which lunch did the fewest teachers have? So again, you're looking for the one with the shortest line. And then how many teachers had chicken? And remember to look at the key to help you. Okay. Challenge 2. The pictogram shows how many insects class 2 saw on a bug hunt. So you've got to count how many butterflies. And again, remember to look at the key. Key is always really important. So look at the key. How many butterflies are there? How many bees are there? How many caterpillars are there? And then how many insects altogether? So you can do that by adding up those three, or you can do it by counting on the chart. Challenge 3. Class 1 were asked to choose their favourite colour out of yellow, green, blue and purple. Gaudi class would have a lot of problems with that because there's no silver or gold there. And the pictogram shows the results. So you need to be really careful because with the yellow, it goes on to 2 lines. So all of those and all of those. So be really careful when you're counting. And here, remember to look at the key. So how many children chose yellow? So you need to count in your 2s. You need to count when you get there, you need to go on to the second line and still keep counting. That's a really tricky one. How many children chose green? How many more children chose purple than blue? So again, you can find out how many children chose blue, how many children chose purple, and take the smaller number away from the bigger number. Or you can draw a line on the chart and count on from there. And it says, how did you work this out? And your extension. Okay. Now, there is more than one answer to this. Eva's friends vote for their favourite fruit. She draws a pictogram and it shows the same votes for apple and pear. Melon got the fewest votes. Plum got the most votes. Grape got only 1 vote. And grape got fewer votes than pear. So be really careful with the melon. That's all I'm going to say to you. So draw a possible pictogram so that Eva's statements are true. So the only one that you've got the numbers for are grape and melon. The others you can choose, provided that they meet all the different points here. And then make sure you draw a key. So if you're feeling lazy and your brain is hurting because it's Friday, then you can draw your key where it's 1 item for what the key is just 1 and you're counting in ones. If you're feeling, oh, you know what, it's nearly the weekend, I've got a little bit more energy inside me, then maybe you could do your key for 2. That is totally up to you. But just please remember to include the key so I can read it. And I look forward to seeing you for our next lesson.